Don't look at the election news. The winner has already been written on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Don't worry. And it's going to be a good result. You're going to see. Who? Everybody, he wants to make himself known. Mr. Sam Niazo came to visit us today. Very nice to see you again. Say Shehiano. I love it to see the outside. You see how many people come in Surat Nefesh. Some people come with their construction vehicles. Some people come with their tow trucks. I see a car outside with a whole tree put right on top. It's perfect for the hunting class. You know, it's like you're getting ready to create a trap. Anyway, today's class, I want to say thank you to our sponsor today, to our dear friend Yechiel Siyunov, who sponsored the class today. 1 second, I just want to pull it up. He sponsored the class today, Leilu Nishmat. Mazal Bracha Bat Sheva. Ruach Hashem Terachenu Megan Eden. Thank you very much for your sponsorship. We would also like to dedicate this class to Leilu Nishmat, my grandmother, Ktsia Bat Sarah. This is her month where she was niftar a few years back. Ruach Hashem Terachenu Megan Eden. B'chol HaNiftarim. And le'avdil, we want to say thank you to all the monthly sponsors of our class to make this possible. And the holiday season is now past us. We're in Chodesh Heshvan, and it's time now to not learn about learning Torah. It's time to learn Torah, not learn about learning Torah. So now it's time to begin. And it says in the Torah in last week's parasha, it speaks about a character. His name was Nimrod. Who was Nimrod? Hu haya gibor tzayid lifnei Hashem. He was considered a hunter, as his identity to Hashem. Al ken Amar. Therefore, they say Ken Nimrod gibor tzayid lifnei Hashem. That Nimrod is considered a hunter. That was his characteristic. So I want to speak a little bit about this topic of hunting. And people might ask, Rabbi Josh, why are you speaking about hunting? Is this really a prevalent thing? Well, the shir was planned months ago. And believe it or not, right now is actually the start of hunting season. I have customers, I have clients that are crazy about this. I mean, I have a guy that literally sleeps in the woods under leaves with a special coat that has electricity, that has a battery pack in it that keeps him warm under the leaves. And, to keep him there so that he could kill an animal and bring it and show his friends and hang up the carcass in his living room. These people have such interests. And believe it or not, it has creeped its way into the Jewish Orthodox community as well, where people go hunting, whether they want to get a big moose head. The wider the horns, the more precious it is, the more it's worth money. And it's even coming to a point where people are hunting for wild beasts, like cougars, like mountain lions, like bears. And there are Orthodox Jews that I know that actually have went and brought back a brown bear, brought back a Kodiak bear. These things are, sometimes it's legal, sometimes it's not legal, sometimes it's encouraged, sometimes it's not. So we're going to speak about all of these situations. So let's begin like this. From the surface, what could be the halachic problems of hunting? Tzara ba'alei chayim. Excellent. Killing an animal unnecessarily. Can you elaborate on what you mean by that? Just killing an animal for no reason? So what you're touching on is Bal Tashbit.
Yeah.
Bal Tashbit. Very good. And so we have the first reason given to us by Rabbi Shlomo, who says to us that the answer is Tsar Ba'alei Chaim. That is on top of my list today. Good job. Second reason is Bal Tashchit, which was David Amino's answer. Excellent answer. You're killing an animal for no reason. That's the second halachic parameter that we need to discuss. Anyone want to take a guess at what the third one can be? You're very good. It's not on the top 3 list, but it is on number 4 because we will speak about that. The Yahavet speaks about that. Not kosher. Very good, but that's not on top of the list. But what you're saying is you're going to hear something very interesting today. Yes. Anybody else? We need one third act, which is more of a character trait. The midah of achzariyut in Hebrew. Anybody know what the word achzariyut stands for in Hebrew? What it means? It means cruelty. So the first thing, causing pain to animals, which would seem like cruelty, but it's not, because believe it or not, there's times where we cause pain to animals and it's completely permitted. We're going to learn today when you could actually inflict harm on an animal, lechatchila, permitted, and it's okay. And then there's a third category of achzariyut, which means cruelty. We're going to discuss all of this. So first of all, where does it say in the Torah that it is forbidden to cause pain to animals? Once we understand this topic, we'll really be able to chop up the sugya and eat it with a spoon. Where does it say in the Torah that you cannot cause pain to animals? One pasuk in the Torah. Those that come to the Thursday night Gemara class, do not answer this question because I know you know it. Anybody, is there a verse in the Torah that says, "Thou shalt not cause pain to animals"? I like talking like that. Maybe I should start talking like that. Right? Behold. No. But say, where does it say that? It doesn't say it in the Torah. The source for not causing pain to animals in the Torah is in Parashat Mishpatim. In the book of Exodus, Parashat Mishpatim, it says over there, if you see the donkey of your neighbor whom you hate, ki tir'ez chamor sona'acha, rovetz tahat masa'o, is struggling under his load, don't leave him alone. Go and unload that animal. So over there, the Mefarshim are asking, the Gemara speaks about this in Baba Metzia, the Gemara speaks about this in Avodah Zarah, the Tosfot on Yud Aleph. It's speaking over there about you have a guy that you really don't like. Let's say Reuven really can't stand Shimon. Reuven is from Samarkand, Shimon is from Tashkent. They can't stand each other, let's just say. Okay? And Reuven has a donkey outside, and the donkey has a lot of stuff on it. And Shimon comes and he sees this donkey barely being able to stand. It's going to bring, it can't move. And he says, "What am I going to help this guy's donkey? I can't stand him. He's from the other side of the world." You can't do that. The Torah says you're not helping the donkey because of your friend. You're helping the donkey because of the donkey. Forget about your friend for a minute. The struggle in this animal cannot be left alone. So what do you have to do? According to the Torah, you have to do something called prika. What's prika? You're porek from the animal. You take off from the back of this animal the load. And you take the load off, and you did a mitzvah deoraita. The Gemara paskins like this, that it's a mitzvah deoraita to help this animal. And it's an isser deoraita to inflict pain onto animals. And it's derived from this. Now, so if a person has a donkey, you're going to help it. If a person has a cow that's somehow struggling, you're going to help it.
Question.
Yes.
Why wouldn't the guy unload it himself?
He's a guy. He's a rude guy. He's from Tashkent. He doesn't like him.
Doesn't that obligation fall upon him?
Yes, it does. But we're
Why would you learn from here that if it's inflicting pain, that you cannot inflict pain, that you just have to unload something because it's too heavy?
correct. You have to unload something because it's too heavy. Even if it's a human being, you're saying anybody that has a hard time carrying a load, you have to help it.
Yeah, the question is, why would you learn from here that it's inflicting pain on the animal? Maybe it's just
The Torah writes, Rovetz tahat basa'o. Rovetz means struggling under its load. It says, forget about the guy that you hate, help the animal. Why? All the Mefarshim explain, because the animal is under pain right now, it's under distress. And if you see somebody under distress, if you see an animal in distress, you have a duty from the Torah to go and unload that load.
So if you don't do anything.
You get an avera. If you walk away from that, you get an avera, correct. Now, if you want to look this up, Baba Metzia, page 32b, speaks about it. Yes? It's a lo ta'aseh. It's a lo ta'aseh to inflict pain onto animals. And it's an aseh to go and help an animal that's struggling. Both. Okay. Now, if that's the case, I have a question to ask you. If we're helping the animal because of the animal, if we're helping the donkey because the donkey is struggling from the load, does that mean that, forget about the guy, two Jews having the problem. What if it's a goy's animal? If it's a goy's animal and I'm helping the animal because it's an animal, then if it's a goy's animal, do I also have to unload it? The answer is Yes, we're helping the animal. We're helping God's creation here. The animal is struggling. So even if it's a goy, even if it's hefker, even if it's in the wild, and you see the animal struggling, you see the animal trapped, its foot is stuck somewhere, and you go and you pull it out, you did a mitzvah. As long as you're not endangering your life to help this situation, you did a mitzvah. Now, if a horse is pulling a heavy wagon and it got stuck in the rocks, you can actually help that horse to get out. You get a mitzvah midoraita. Isn't that amazing? Hashem wants us to be kind. Next, another place in the Torah where we learn cruelty, that cruelty is forbidden on animals. There's a mitzvah in the Torah that if a person is plowing a field, what animals could be used to plow a field? A donkey, right? A big donkey, or a bull, shor. So if you have a bull and you have a donkey, the Torah writes you cannot put them in the same field to plow the animal. And there's two reasons why. One is a faster animal than the other. A bull is more stronger than a donkey, or a donkey can move faster than a bull, and therefore their mentalities work differently. So the bull is going to be going this way, the donkey is going to be going this way, and it lechatchila has a hard time to plow the field. Second thing is that the bull has a certain characteristic when it eats versus when a donkey eats. What does a bull do when he eats? Anybody know? He chews its cud. So could you imagine you're starving and some guy is chewing in your ear and you're going to get hungry, you're going to salivate. So now you're going to put these two animals to work next to each other. The whole time the bull is chewing its cud and it sounds like he's eating a meal for 3 hours while the donkey ate really quickly and that's it. Now he's thinking about food the whole time. He's like, could you stop chewing in my ear? That's the Torah says. It's also because of cruelty to animals. Sar ba'alei chaim. You cannot put these two animals together to plow the field. Could you imagine how much the Torah cares about people? If only the goyim would actually read the psukim with the rabbinic commentary on it, they would really understand how kind the Torah makes people. Let's continue. Another mitzvah in the Torah, it's called mitzvat oto ve'et beno. It and its offspring. Itself and its offspring. Anybody know what this mitzvah is? Excellent. If a person shechted a cow, that day, for 24 hours, you cannot shecht its child. Or vice versa. If you shechted the calf, for 24 hours, you cannot shecht the mother. Can't do it. Okay? Why? Because Rambam writes, it brings to midat ha'achzariyut, and it's considered also tsa'ar ba'alei chaim. The mother is going to experience the child, and the day that she gave birth to this child is a connection between mother and child, even though it's an animal. She's going to go and shech the mother and shech the child. You don't think that there's something wrong here with that? Yes, it's true that it's not a person, but it's still a midah zariyut.
Would it actually stop the sorrow of the mother or the child?
Would it what?
Wouldn't it actually stop the sorrow of either one if you actually stop the shecht them both at the same time?
So the mother, yes, you're right, but at the same time the Torah commanded that's because of cruelty. The fact that a person is comfortable killing parent and child at the same time, even of an animal, is a biblical problem. That's the issue that we're worried about here. That's problem number 3 on the list that we said. Let's continue. Another thing, which today is actually a very prevalent problem with inexperienced shochets. A person that's a shochet, I see it happen all the time. You have a bunch of chickens here, and they take the chicken, and they hold and shecht it in front of the other chickens. It's asur. Not just that, it's asur to show the knife of the shchita, the knife of the shochet, which is called a halaf. It's asur to show it to the animal before you shecht it. And I'm going to explain why. What is a treifa? Those that come Thursday nights, a treifa means an animal that is blemished to the point where after the blemish, it'll die within 12 months. Again, I'm going to repeat it. If a person or somehow an animal got damaged, that with this damage, the animal will die within 12 months, it is considered a treifa, and it's invalid for you to shech this animal and eat it. Now listen very closely to what I'm going to tell you. If a person scared an animal by killing another animal in front of it, the rabbis explain that the pachad, the fear that the animal experiences watching his neighbor, his friend, his other animal be slaughtered, will cause so much fear to the animal that it'll die within 12 months and it becomes a treifa. That's how horrible it is for a person to kill an animal in front of another animal. So people think, oh, just shechting, right? You have to be very careful how an animal is shechted. And today in the shechita plants, the Orthodox shechita plants, they are careful with how they do it. They have two workers that actually pass most of the time. We think that shechita is done like by kaparot. How is it done by kaparot? The shochet does the whole job. He holds the chicken and he shechs the chicken, right? Well, in shechita plants, if you actually go, you'll see that there's a guy. It doesn't matter where he's from. I was going to say, but it doesn't matter. But he holds the animal, the feet and the neck of the chicken, and the person just shechts it. Next, shechts it. And he's literally just standing there playing a violin with a knife. And he's just shechting and shechting and shechting. And he's standing sideways so that the other chickens don't see what's going on. And it's being passed to him. Those are Orthodox slaughterhouses. That's how they are supposed to do it. And that's how I've seen most of them do it. Why? Because of this reason. That if an animal gets scared from seeing his fellow chicken just get murdered and blood squirt on his face from it, then he's going to get pachad, and it could be that animal becomes a treifa. You know how people can lose their mind seeing a person get injured. I once saw a Escalade like this tall, and a lady crossing a street. She was like this short. An Escalade hit her, boom, like this. The lady flew. 2 people passed out right next to her. And I was confused. I didn't understand what happened. I said, and I realized they fainted from the situation. Now this is just because she was fine. Everything was fine. But could you imagine what a chicken sees another chicken get slaughtered? You think it doesn't understand? A cow sees another cow get slaughtered. You think it doesn't understand? They understand. They have intelligence. They understand. So that's another place where you see a person has to be careful for tsar ba'alei chayim, pain on animals. So some opinions write that a person who kills an animal for no reason, and shamayim is called a shofech damim. Somebody that kills an animal for no reason is considered a person that spills blood. Even though it's an animal, but he spilled blood of an animal. Next. This is a really amazing one. And you should look in the Rambam, Hilchot Sanhedrin, chapter 5, halacha 2. Listen to what it says over there. He says, let's say you have an animal that somebody owns. Let's say I own a dog, a vicious dog. Or let's say I own, back then, some of these rich guys used to own a wild animal, right? Like one of those famous boxers owns a tiger, right? I said famous boxer. Well, okay. He owns a tiger, okay? So let's say a Jew, Leavdil, owned a tiger. And the tiger went out and mauled someone. You think you could just take a gun and shoot that tiger? It sounds like from the Rambam, what he paskins, is you need a case of 23 judges to decide if this tiger gets killed or not. You can't just take a gun and say, you killed him, I shall kill you. Boom. Can't do that. 23 judges have to judge a human. 23 judges have to judge your animal if it deserves the death penalty, how the death penalty is done. Upon the crime of the animal, how the death penalty is done. Could you imagine that? An animal gets a trial. Tell the goyim that. If he bites a person, if he hurts a person, that's different. I'm talking about you have an animal that ran out, killed a person, and went back to his owner's house. You can't just call them, give me your animal, I gotta shoot it. No. You have to give it 23 judges, Chaf Gimel Dayanim Sanhedrin, have to judge the case of that animal, how it gets killed. Isn't that amazing? Now, today, we have a very special group of people. They're called Hasidim. And Hasidim wear a hat. And some of those hats cost $5,000. Did you know that?
5,000 is cheaper.
You must be from Borough Park. Okay, 5,000 is about $10,000. Here you go. Let's say. Bingo. How is that hat made? Do you know? So they have a few different types of hats. The one with the short fur is made from rabbits. The one with the long fur could be fox fur or beavers, mink. And then the Rebbes, some of them have I also have one like that. But let's say they have the fur over here, right? Mazeh, where did that come from? Is that permitted? Oh, so we said this whole time causing pain to animals is forbidden. However, there is a time when it is permitted. I'll give you some examples. One of them is this one. If you want to make clothing from it, you want to make your wife a nice mink coat, they have to kill 50 minks. What do you think? The mink shows up in the guy's backyard for free? No, you gotta go hunt these things. Mutar or asur? Mutar. Letzorech adam, it's permitted. If a person needs it, he wants to make himself a special mink coat, you could go kill them. No problem. Huh? Doesn't make sense?
Because you want to wear a nice to go kill an animal.
Absolutely.
But if you kill somebody, you can't kill an animal.
What does somebody have to do? It's what do
Kill
you...
an animal. Kills a person, you can't kill him.
He needs 23 judges, correct.
But when he wants a nice piece, you go kill him.
So I say you own that animal. This animal you don't, it's a wild animal. Nobody owns minks. If he owns the minks, go buy it from him. Kill it, no problem.
What's the difference if somebody owns it or not?
So others say if nobody owns it, then you don't need anybody to judge the case because they say that the court case is related to the owner and the animal. But others hold that if it's let's say there's a wild beast in town, right? That this beast just comes out at random moments and kills it. So what they do is they're going to go to two really strong Jews. They're going to say, listen guys, you have experience with animals, you're not scared. We'll give you $10,000. Go find this animal and kill it. That's mutar. You could do that.
That was what you were missing. That was my understanding.
I appreciate it. Thank you for pointing what I'm missing.
No, but the problem is another. So if you're the person who owns the animal.
Correct.
So now,
That's not the person. You're judging the animal.
right, but he has an owner.
But they're not going to they're not going to kill the person, right? They're killing the animal.
An animal that has no owner.
Right.
So you kill that animal.
Correct. You could kill that animal. We're going to see soon more details of the case. Don't worry. I have it in here just for you. Just so you don't say I missed it. You'll see. Okay, let's continue. The FDA tests animals. Anybody know how many animals the FDA tests per year? The FDA, do you know what it stands for? Very good, guys. 22 million tests on animals in the United States of America per year, including, if you include Europe and other democracies, 100 million animals a year have tests done on them. Majority of them are mice. After mice, it's monkeys. And then they have other animals for certain rare diseases. But that's 22 million in our country alone. Mutaro asur, permitted. Why? For the need of mankind. No problem.
Rabbi, what if it's a masjid? It's not directly to the mayor, it's a masjid.
What does that mean?
It's something that he uses to shelter his animals. To shelter his animals.
I don't understand. Give me the case.
Like, he needs a shelter for his animals, so he kills a bear and takes the fur and makes it like a house.
If he needs it, go ahead.
It's not directly for him.
If he needs it, go ahead. Let's continue. If a person has a dog, here's a very practical halacha question. And the dog got sick. You know what they do with dogs that get sick? Sometimes they put it down. Do I have to halachically take it to the vet and pay about $1,500 to get it put down with a shot? They give it an injection and then the dog dies? Or could I just shoot it? I have to go to the doctor? Let it die on its own? You guys are cruel people. No, I'm kidding. According to halakha, whichever one saves you more money and time. I understand. You're right. I understand. So if for you that's more comforting to pay for it, fine. But if another person says, "Listen, I got to work all week for $1,500. I ain't doing that for my dog," and he shoots it in the head and it's a quick death, some people hold that. Okay, I'm just telling the halakha. You can do what you want. Now, the Shulchan Aruch, Eben HaEzer, Halakha 5, Siman 4, Seif Katan 14. He writes that anything done for medicinal purposes or for consuming suspends the biblical prohibition of Tsa'ar Baalei Chayim. Okay, so if you want to eat it, if you want the skins, if you want to, I don't know, you need the bones from it for a certain medical procedure, go ahead and do it.
If I want the mantle,
You want the mantle, what is it, medicinal? No, because they have,
because I just want it.
okay, so we're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to get to that in a minute.
The mint coat, That one just.
Okay, we're gonna get to that in a
Rabbi,
minute.
do you need to
Actually, it's easier today than back then because today there's a I'll give you the short answer. Today there's a very big market for it. Taxidermy market is huge. Do you know how much they're selling these moose things for? These antlers? Tens of thousands of dollars. Certain colors, certain tints, certain this, that. It's being sold for. So you're not really getting the antlers. You're getting an investment. You're getting a piece of merchandise hanging on your wall. Look at what I did. Yeah.
Rabbi, you just mentioned right now regarding that whatever's cheaper you could do. Does this include also getting a vet?
A vet?
Yeah.
Well, you need a vet. You can't own in America. In America, you cannot own a dog without a vet. You have to get shots. You have to. Okay. Let's continue. No. We'll see also about insects. Now, there's a Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah, which we did not get up to yet, but listen to this Gemara. The Goyim had a certain holiday back in the day where they would have to use a white rooster for Avodah Zarah practices. So the Gemara over there says, let's say this holiday happened on November 5th. November 5th was a holiday where that the Goyim use a white rooster as a sacrifice to their God. And now a Goy comes to me, whatever it is, Africans, whatever it is. And the Goy knocks on my door. Hi, Rabbi Josh. You have white roosters. I don't, but you have white roosters for the examples. Can I have one? So now, if I say no, what's going to happen? Our business relationship is done. But I know he has a holiday that day. He's going to sacrifice it that day. I'm not allowed to sell him an animal he's going to do Avodah Zarah with. So what am I supposed to do? So the Gemara says over there, you can sell it to him, but quickly take a scissor and cut off one of its fingers. The small finger, make it not taref, it's not taref, it's still shmutar l'shvita, but it's a mum. And a mum is asur lekorbanot. Even for the goyim, they don't bring a blemished animal to sacrifice. So the Gemara over there says, can you do that? The halacha is,
No.
yes.
What about Tzara?
We don't care about tzar b'alei chayim because you're preventing avodah zarah. And you're maintaining your relationship. And you're maintaining your business
But
relationship.
I thought it was about animals.
If it's good for your pocket, it's good for you.
I thought it was about animals.
I'm telling you where the exceptions to the rule are. That's what we're learning. In the times of the Beit HaMikdash, here's another time where in the Torah,
That's a very good question. How about the Jesus gold itself, jewelers?
if you come to the class Thursday night, we actually discussed this at length. That's not nogea to our class today. We're talking about animals today. Listen to this. In the time of the Beit HaMikdash, there were ladies that were permitted to cause pain to animals. Do any of the ladies know how were you permitted to cause pain to animals for the Beit HaMikdash? $20. Zell. Only ladies got to answer. You got to be prepared. Mashiach is around the corner. Well, I'll tell you how. It says, "V'chol isha chochmat lev beyadea tavu." What does that mean? That they used to take the hairs on the wool on the back of the sheep. They didn't first shave it and then turn it into string. They actually turned it into string while it was still on the backs of the sheep, because it would get a certain color, and they would leave it like that, and it would grow while it was twining. It would grow like the animal had dreads, and it would twine it while it's growing, and then they used that to make strings to do parochet or whatever things they needed in the Beit HaMikdash. It was very painful to the animal, but the reason why they really did it was because that way it would not become mekabel tumah. It would not become tameh. Once it's detached from the animal, the clothing could become tameh. But while it's still on the animal, it doesn't become tameh. So they will create a piece of material while it's still in the back of the animal, and it was mutar because it was for holy reasons. Next, there was an animal called elim, an ayil, and in the Torah it says orot elim me'odamim. What is orot elim me'odamim? They used to use skins in the Beit HaMikdash called orot elim me'odamim. The Gemara says this was a very difficult color to get on the animal. How would they get the animal? The people that worked for the Beit HaMikdash, they would actually hit the animal, and it would cause bruises under the skin. It would cause blood to get the blood clots, and the blood clots would create a beautiful skin color on the animal, and they would use that in the Beit HaMikdash. Orot eli me'odamim. So because it's a mitzvah, the Torah permits it. Okay?
Question, is it really coming from the Torah or what?
It's coming from the
Sounds
Torah.
like it.
Coming from the Torah. Here's another halacha question. I want to buy myself a goose down pillow. I looked this up just for this class. A real goose down pillow can start anywhere from $150 and go all the way up to $2,500 for a pillow. This guy ain't waking up for Shahari. Don't count on it. Now, what is this goose down pillow? Why are some of them $2,500, $2,000, $1,500, and some of them $100? What's the difference between them? Do you know why? They say that a goose feather that is pulled out of the goose while it is alive is much fluffier than a goose feather that is pulled out of a goose after it's dead. The ones that are pulled out when it's alive, it's aristocratic and it comes from sophisticated places. For that reason, it costs $2,000 to $2,500 for a pillow for every single feather in there came out of a live goose, while the other ones came out of dead geese. Is it permitted for me to make, forget about buy, to make such a pillow? Permitted or not permitted? The halacha is yes. However, I'll give you another scenario where it's forbidden. If I have a goose and I want to pull out a feather while it's alive to use it to write a Sefer Torah, can I pull it out of an animal and it'll scream out of pain? The goose will go, ah, and you pull it out. Can I use that feather now? The feather you could use, but is that permitted from the Torah or not? The answer is no. By Safras, it's not permitted. By the pillow, it is permitted. Why? Because the pillow, it has a special effect. That special effect doesn't exist by the feather that's pulled out to write. Whether the goose is dead, whether it's shechted and pulled out, whether after it's alive, it's all the same. So for that reason, since it doesn't make a difference whether it's alive or dead, you cannot cause the pain to the animal that's unnecessary. However, by the feathers for the pillow, it is necessary. It makes my pillow fluffier. So letzorech adam, we suspend tzar ba'alei chaim. If any of these liberalis from the colleges hear what I'm saying right now, I get shot. But it's true. Huh? No, orot elim me'odamim. You can't do it. It won't work. Because why? What would happen is after you hang the skin for months, the colors would change if you painted it. But if it happened within the skin, and that's the skin of the animal now, it would never change. They had it all over. They used it to cover kalim. They used it for other things. Hashem said, I want this color. Orot elim me'odamim. And there was also orot tachash, which was like a unicorn slash, it was like a calf with a unicorn. It's called a tachash. Anyway, by the way, I want to tell you something. The Rambam and the Chidah write, where does it say in the Torah that I can't punch someone in the face? It says straight out. Where does it say in the Torah I can't come to someone and just whack him? I don't like his attitude. I don't like his face. Whack him in the face. Why can't I do that? What does it say? Just guess what? It's learned from a Kal V'chomer. If you can't cause unnecessary pain to animals, then Kal V'chomer, you can't cause unnecessary pain to humans. But if it's necessary pain, have at it.
What's necessary pain?
Huh? No, you can't. Okay, so the synopsis of this part of the class is pain to animals for the need of mankind is permitted. There's a Midrash Rabbah that tells us there's no creature in the world that is extra. And I'll tell you a story that says in Midrash Rabbah. There was once a guy, a rabbi, who went to a bank of a lake and he saw a very interesting thing. He saw a frog swimming across a lake with a scorpion on its back. The scorpion came off the frog's back, bit a guy, scorpion went back on the frog's back, the frog took him back across the lake. Straight out, Midrash Rabbah, chapter 10, Parashat Bereshit, Midrash number 7. Midrash number 7. Look it up over there, it's an amazing story. There's a lot of meanings behind the story, but it's not to be taken out of its literal sense, that Hashem created every animal for a certain purpose, so killing it for no reason is a problem. Now, hunting for pests. Let's talk about this. Now we're going to start about the actual killing, what everybody wants to hear about. In the United States, one of the most hunted animals is a certain type of pests. Anybody know what a certain type of pest? Anybody know what it's called? Wild boars. Now I'm going to explain to you. If you have a lot of money, here's what you can do. You can get into a helicopter that has a minigun attached to it. and from about 150 feet, 200 feet up, you can point this minigun down at a crowd of wild pigs, feral pigs, invasive, destructive pigs, and you could chain them down. You could literally blow them up with this gun. It'll cost you about $15,000 if you go with a crew of about 3 people, and you're literally standing like Rambo on a helicopter and you're shooting down these pigs. Okay? Can we go out and kill pests is the question. Is this permitted or not?
Well, it sounds like it's based on the idea that it benefits the people, right? If it's invasive and it'll destroy your crops and everything like that, then you're allowed to.
Very good. So David Amino touched on a very nice thing. I'll tell you a phone call that I made about this topic. The Igros Moshe, Harav Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Bekadosh Libracha, and Choshen Mishpat 247. He says that if you need to kill a pest, the way you should do it is through a trap or a grama. What does a trap mean? A grama means an indirect way of killing them. A gun is not an indirect way, it's actually very direct. It's more direct than any other way. Why? So the Rav Moshe Feinstein says, because it causes, if you're killing a pest that ultimately is not really in your house, the boar is not coming to your house. If the boar is coming to your house and it's bothering you, if the boar is coming to your house or coming to farms and eating the crops, then in that case, go ahead and take care of it. But if it's not,
Or there's a possibility it could.
okay, I'm gonna give you the heter. I know you want the heter. You'll get the heter in a minute. But listen to this. So he says that the only reason why we're afraid is because of midah achzariyut. We don't want you to get used to killing things for no reason. So he says over there, because of midah achzariyut, it's a problem. So, is there a halachic issue with it? Rav Moshe Feinstein writes, no. There is no halachic issue with it. There is a characteristic issue with it. Yes?
The guy's walking down the street and like a raccoon comes out and like tries to attack him. Is he allowed to punch the thing?
You're allowed to kill it. Not just that, be very careful because raccoons could be rabid. You know what rabid means? They have rabies. Okay,
Wait. I have a school problem.
kill it.
No, he's outside right now, but it goes into my attic. Now he's not in my attic, he's outside.
Yeah.
Their whole family. And I start shooting them.
Yes. But legally, don't get in trouble. Legally, you can take care of it. Yes, but Rav Moshe Feinstein says if you want, if it's better to use a trap to trap them and then get rid of it like that, or if the trap kills them. Now, how did they? Okay, let's continue with this. Rav Moshe Sternbach. Everybody heard of Rav Moshe Sternbach? He was a big posek. He asked about killing bugs, wasps, beehives, hornet hives. Those are big things today too. So he says that those things have no issue at all. But then he quotes an Arizal. And the Arizal says that Rabbi Chaim Vital writes that the Arizal was very careful not to kill even a mosquito or a spider or a bug for no reason at all. Rav Moshe Sternbach says, you are not the Arizal. And the Arizal, when you reach his level, then you could be like that. Besides, if you're not the Arizal, al tiyeh tzadik harbeh. Don't be overly righteous. You can kill bugs, you could kill bees. If they're especially in your house, you could do it through all types of ways, even if you want to burn them. There's, most people burn these beehives.
How about Shabbat?
You can burn them.
Outside.
So on Shabbat, this is a discussion in the Gemara. If it's a life endangering thing, you're absolutely allowed to kill it. A lot of people today are allergic to bees. If someone in your house is allergic to a bee, you must kill it.
Outside as well?
Huh?
Outside as well?
If it's in your backyard, absolutely. But I want to tell you something about hornets. Hornets are one of the most intelligent species on this planet. They have a memory. They remember you from your side, from your face, from the way you look. They will hunt you down. Hornets are very dangerous. So if you're going to kill it, call an expert. Now the Yavetz says that this whole Isser of Tzar Baalei Chaim, of causing pain to animals, is only for work animals. There's your heter. Only for work animals. Where does the Torah say you can't cause pain to animals? To which animal specifically? The donkey, which is holding a load of its owner. So which means it has to be domesticated animals. A boar is not a domesticated animal. So therefore, if a person wants to kill a boar, it's not Tzar Baalei Chaim. Other rabbis argue with him and say, I'm sorry, I disagree with your logic. However, there are other ways of hunting that are actually even worse than that.
So I got a
Humans is a ki betzelem Elohim asa et ha'adam, goy or Jew. You cannot cause unnecessary pain to humans for the respect of Hashem. A human being has the image of God.
We're learning pasukim from here, technically. We're learning from the Torah.
It's different. The Torah says that a human being has tzelem Elohim, an animal does not. Okay. How did they hunt in the old days? Huh? Continue. We'll get to all that. There's another, easier way. Huh? I won't hire you to do the job. Come on, guys, think. How are you hunting? Let's say you're an old guy, 80-year-old guy. I gotta use 80. I don't think there's an 80-year-old man in here, but that's why I'm saying 80. Let's say you're an 80-year-old guy. How are you supposed to? Dogs. You didn't think about that, did you? Well, guess what? They sell dogs today, $18,000 to $25,000 that have instinctual hunting capabilities. And back then, they used to send a pack of dogs, and the dog would surround an animal, and then they would go and kill the animal. Was that permitted that time? Absolutely. It was permitted. That's how they did it. I'll tell you another way how they used to hunt. And this is brought in Hilchos Shabbos. You know who invented the glue trap? The Jew. You two. The Jews. The Jews invented the glue trap. So in Hilchos Shabbos they say you're not allowed to lay down something very sticky on the ground that could trap an animal. Because what would they do? They would put it in their backyard, or not a backyard, they owned a lot of property, and a deer would happen to be skipping along the way and jump into this pile of tar and get stuck. So they say on Shabbos you can't lay this down. So during the week, you wake up in the morning, you see a deer stuck on this glue trap, they would take it and check it. They would even set these traps up in the forests. They would grab and shecht it. And that would be mutar. I'll tell you another way how they used to shecht, just to make this a little bit interesting. There's a Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin says that David HaMelech, according to Rashi and the Mefarshim, the way they understand this Gemara, he used a falcon. Isn't that cool? I advise everybody, the next time you're in Florida, they have a very big zoo right next to the airport. It's about a 10-15 minute drive from the airport. Huge safari zoo. And there you could actually hold a vulture, you could hold an eagle, you could hold baby tigers. I recommend going and checking out the falcon. It's a really amazing, majestic creature, and you can see that this animal has the power to understand your mind. You could train it to understand your brain. And David HaMelech used a falcon to hunt. And I want to read to you the story of when he used it. I didn't want to bring 60 books today, so I took a picture of it. Listen to this. One day, David went to hunt with a falcon. Listen to it. Masechet Sanhedrin 95a. One day, King David went to hunt with a falcon. The Satan came and appeared to him as a deer. He shot an arrow at the deer, and the arrow did not reach it. How in the world, we'll continue the story in a minute, how in the world can you kill an animal with a deer with an arrow and then shecht it to be kosher? I thought an animal cannot have any blemishes, no? How are you supposed to kill an animal with an arrow? So I'll explain something very interesting. First of all, what this falcon would do, the falcon would go up, it would scream. That means David HaMelech knew where the falcon is flying, there's a deer around there, and if the deer would continue to run, he would follow this falcon. He saw the deer, he took an arrow, he's aiming at it. What exactly is he aiming at? The deer's chest, the deer's eye, what is he aiming at? A one-shot kill? His neck? You're telling me King David knew how to fly an arrow to shecht the throat of a deer, and then come and take the animal and eat it. Do you know who you have to be to do that? He didn't do that. I'm going to explain something. If you come to the Gemara class on Thursday night, we learned a few months ago, that there was a certain mitzvah called okrin. What is the mitzvah of okrin? Those Thursday night don't say the answer. I don't want to spoil it. If a king would die, king of Israel would die, they would actually burn all of the king's artifacts. They would burn everything that king had. The next king after him cannot have anything from him. They would burn his clothing. They would burn everything that belonged to the king. They would burn it. And the king had a special horse. What would they do with the horse? They would burn it? No. They would actually, the horse has a certain tendon on its back. And the tendon is about this fat, and they would sever the tendon. That nobody else can ride this horse ever again. Now this tendon, when you sever it, the Tosfot in that Gemara says that it doesn't matrif the animal. It's called okrin, the Achilles tendon. They cut it, and it doesn't make the animal a treifa.
Just like we have over here.
We have that too, correct. And if your person was hunting for a deer, once you sever that part of the leg,
He's paralyzed.
the deer cannot run fast. Especially with a falcon or a couple of dogs, you easily got that deer. And that's what David Melech used to aim for. He would aim for that ankle, and he would get it all the time. Now let's continue the story just to make
So
it.
why wouldn't he be able to shift it with the arrow then, no? If he could get it all the time, then he could precision
It's
track.
impossible. I'll tell you why. Very good question. He already said, if you're so precise that you could shecht an Achilles tendon, how come you can't shecht the neck, which is about 5 times wider? Very good question. I'll answer why. Because of the knife after the shechita. What do you have to do with a knife after shechita?
Oh, you gotta check.
You gotta check the knife. And there's another halachic issue. The Gemara speaks about a case where if a person shechted an animal and walked away, it's treif. What do you have to do after you shecht an animal? You have to look at the simanim. So if I came and said, shecht, shechita was kosher, but I didn't check the animal's signs to see if I actually severed the 2 esophagus and the trachea inside, the animal is considered a treifa. Therefore, you have to make sure the shohets know what they're doing. A lot of times they leave it and an hour later they'll go check. That's asur to do. So that answers your question, David. So let's see what happened in the story. So he shot the arrow at the deer and it didn't reach the deer. And the Satan led David to follow the deer until it reached the land of the Philistines. There was a certain person who was the brother of Goliath who saw King David. And he said, wait, this is King David who killed my brother. Right? He said, I have to kill him. So what did he do? He caught King David. He bound him up. He doubled him over. They had a wrestling match. And placed him on the ground. And then he cast him under a beam of an olive tree, like a very heavy olive branch, to try to crush him. And a miracle was performed where under him the earth was opened into a pit. So he was stopped from being crushed by the beam. That's the story that happened with King David. So that's one place where we see shechita by a hunter like King David. Another place is Masechet Sanhedrin, page 107, which tells us a story about King David and Bathsheba. You're really going to like this. It says King David was professional at shechting birds with his arrow. He was able to attach a knife to the tip of his arrow, and he would hit it, and it would shecht the bird, and it would land either on very, very deep waters so that the knife would not get ruined, or it would land on like a pile of leaves. And then he would check the knife and check the bird, and he could eat it. There is Kabbalistic reasons to eating wild birds. We're not going to get into it now. I don't understand it myself. I understand 10% of it, so I'm not going to get into it. One day when Hashem bestows this knowledge upon me, why a wild animal is better to eat than a domesticated animal. A wild animal has the mitzvah of kisui dam. You have to cover the blood. By a domesticated animal, you do not have to cover the blood. Why? Chok. Chok means we don't know the reason why. One is bal teshaketzu, you shouldn't get grossed out. Yes?
How can we first check the knife and then check the animal that he shot? Did my Rabbi just say that you first check the animal itself?
He'll check the animal itself first, and then he'll check the... It takes 2 seconds to check a bird. Very quick. And then he'll go after the knife, right? So, I want to continue now with fishing. Yeah, the Margaliot Hayam, chapter 15, says that he used the knife as an arrow. Okay, fishing. Today, tuna. They have tunas that could cost $200,000. This tuna is enough to feed a city. Huge tunas. Somebody hires you to go get a tuna, 100% permitted. Why? You're going to eat it. Where does Isurim for fishing begin? Here's an issue. You go on a fishing boat, you know those fishing boats in Sheepshead Bay? You could rent it, they give you a rod. Here's the problem. That if you hook a fish, and it's a kosher fish, and you could eat it, the issue is that sometimes it doesn't match the size requirement. and they make you rip the hook out of the mouth and toss it back in. I'll give you the leniencies and I'll give you the strictnesses. The leniencies are as follows. Never in the Torah does it say Tzar Baalei Chaim exists by fish. As a matter of fact, the Shulchan Aruch writes that you could eat fish alive. And you could even scale a fish alive. The only reason the Ramah writes that you shouldn't eat fish alive is because of Baal Teshaketzu, which he takes from Rav Saadia Gaon. Baal Teshaketzu means somebody sees you eat a fish alive, you're definitely not giving your daughter to marry this guy. Okay? So that's one reason. However, if you're not worried about Baal Teshaketzu, there are opinions that say you could eat it, Rishonim, Geonim, that say you could eat a fish alive, raw, scale it while it's alive, and eat it. So for that reason, fine, but there it's by eating. So other rabbis argue with that. So if I catch a fish in the ocean and a hook is in it, and I say, oh, I got to put this back in now, I have to rip the hook out of its mouth. Trust me, it's not like what you're thinking. You have to unhook it. No, I've done this. The hooks have barbs in it. You're ripping this hook out of the mouth. This fish is dying. What? You have to be really good at pliers. You have to take it out. But when you have 50 people on your boat that are going to be throwing the rod in, they're not taking it out nicely. They're taking it out viciously. They're ripping it out. And for that reason, there's room to argue. Others say, no, the Torah never said that a fish has this midah of achzariyut with a fish. It doesn't exist. How do you kill a fish? You hammer its head and it's still flopping. So there is no tsar baalei chaim to a fish, according to some opinions. Other opinions say you shouldn't do it, especially for game, to just rip it out and throw it back in. Another room for leniency is you're not in charge of the fish that gets on your hook. The goy is telling you to let the hook. The state is telling you to throw the fish back in. So it's not my law. I'm hoping to get a fish that I could eat. It's not under my jurisdiction to get a fish that I can't eat. So for that reason, those that hold it's mutar have on what to rely on. Not a problem. Go ahead and have at it. Catch me something nice. Now, the most famous tshuva on hunting is by the Noda B'Yehuda, Rabbi Cheskel Lau. He was born in 1713, was nifter in 1793. The Noda B'Yehuda was huge. Rabbi Yosef, yesterday was his yahrzeit. Rabbi Yosef, his son says that he used to read Noda B'Yehuda when he used to chill out on Shabbat. When he used to, before bed, he wanted to read something light. The Noda B'Yehuda has excellent writing capability. He wrote beautiful. Rabbi Cheskel Landau. And listen to the question he says. He got a question, and I found an online translation of this question, because you know who bought me the Sefer today? I couldn't find it before. Today, I sent Asaf to a certain guy who picked up the 2-volume set for me that I needed, and then I found it in English. And I took a copy of the Sefer, so thank you very much for getting it for me today. So, the question that he got was, there was a very rich guy. His name was, very rich guy. His name was Rabbi Gomprecht Oppenheim. And Rabbi Gomprecht Oppenheim had a friend who was very, very rich too. You know, the rich know other rich people. And he had a question. The question was, I just bought a huge estate. I'll read it in English. God has rewarded me with many broad possessions. My friend has villages and also forests in which there is stock and wild animals of the woods. He asked if it's permitted for him to go in person to shoot with a yore esh, a blazing rod, a gun, to hunt. Namely, whether it's permitted for a Jew to do this thing in view of the law against cruelty or against cruelty to animals, or the law against general destructiveness. The two problems we brought out. Is there an issue of bal tashchit? If I want to kill an animal that lives on my preservation, this is my property. I want a cougar. I see a cougar running across my backyard one morning. I want to kill the thing. Is it permitted or not? And he says other things is, let's say they're like deer. They're not really wild, dangerous beasts. Can I go and kill it on my own property? And he answers something very, very interesting. And I want to read it to you as follows. He brings all the sugyas that we just learned. He brings it, so we could skip about 2 pages. And he says here, who are the people in the Torah that were busy hunting? Ve'ech yamit ish Yisraeli beyadayim ba'alei chayim bli shum tzorech. How can a Jewish person kill with his hands a live animal without any need? Rak ligmor chemdat zmano litasek betzeda, just to fill his desire to spill blood during hunting. Ve'im mishum shedubim uzevim ushar chayot hatorfim, if there's bears and wolves and other animals, the muadim lehazik Yehudi, that are there that could kill a Jew and could kill other people, then in that case, of course, it's permitted, go and kill him, because he could kill you first. However, to go out for leisure and spill blood, it's a problem. Then he says, when is it considered not a problem? If somebody hires you to bring an animal, or if somebody else will eat this animal. So if I work with a guy named Carmine, who says, if you kill an animal, I'll eat it, and I want to go hunting because I was invited by my customers to go hunting, I'm pausing the video. And he actually brought this tshuva up of the Noda B'Yehuda, and he says that the reason why it's going to be forbidden is only because we don't want you to get comfortable spilling blood, being happy to spill blood. Jewish people don't want to spill blood. However, for some Jewish people, it's actually healthy to spill blood. Let me explain why. The Gemara Masechet Shabbat, page 155, says that people are born under different mazalot. Some people are born under mazal Mu'adim. Mu'adim means Mars. And those people that are born under Midah of Mars, they have to spill blood or just spill people's blood. So for that reason, if somebody is born under Mazal Moadim, they should be, the Gemara says, or a Shochet, or a Mohel. And that way you spill blood. Bottom line, in your heart, you spill blood.
What about a soldier?
So soldiers, it's a mitzvah. Whether you're a spiller blood or not, we're taking you to war. If it's a milchabet mitzvah, if it's a milchabet reshut, also, like, as long as you're not a guy that's gonna faint or you're going to war. That's nothing to do with it. All people from all mazalot went to war. But we're talking about a person that has people are born with different desires. Some people are born with desires of, all different things. Some people are more intellectual, some people are more musical. Some people like to kill, they like to spill blood. So the Gemara says if a person likes to spill blood, go be a mohel, go be a shohet. Now, so end of the day, somebody asks me, can I go hunting? The answer is yes. There's ways to do it. How are you going to do it? Are you hired to hunt? Yes, they're asking me to bring him back a caribou that weighs 2,000 pounds. How much is he paying you? $150,000. Go ahead.
How about if it's free?
So is he going to eat it? Is a goy going to eat it?
I don't know.
If a goy is going to eat it, then it's okay.
What if he just doesn't want, whatever he wants with that?
So if it's lehashchit, you can't.
If it's
For the skin, it's permitted.
What if it's for the tax?
For the skin, it's permitted. Skin is for tzorech.
Whatever he wants, maybe he wants the teeth out of it. I don't know.
Then it's for a purpose. But if you're just going to shoot it and walk away, I shot something.
No, but the guy told me, hey, go get that.
Okay, but he's going to use it for something.
Gotta give to the dog or something.
No, that's a problem.
I have to ask him.
You have to ask. If he's paying you for it, then that's you're allowed to do that. If he's paying you for it, I'll give you a story that I recently read. Person in Japan, you can't do this anywhere else but in Japan, was hired to get a whale, to kill a whale, because they believe that the blubber of the whale has healing properties for people with rheumatoid arthritis and people with other conditions, with bone conditions. The blubber of the whale, they would melt it and smear it on the person. So if you go there, you know how much they're paying you for a whale? You know how much they're giving you for a whale? First of all, just to rent this boat alone, you're paying at least $200,000 a day just to rent this boat. On average, it's gonna cost you millions of dollars. These whales are the size of a boat. What you do is you hook the whale's tail and you attach it to the boat, and the boat has to bring it to shore, and then good luck killing it. And then this animal suffers the whole way. And by the way, a whale is not a fish. A whale is a mammal, right? So this whale. But after you do it, you get $1 million check. Go ahead. It's litzor if you need it. And if you have the skill to do it and you have the money to do it, go ahead, do it. Now, could a person say, no, Rabbi, you're wrong. If Hashem wants to give you the money, he could give it to you another way. Great, but that's not the halacha. You're asking me for the law. You want to ask me for the hashkafa? The hashkafa is, I don't recommend it hashkafa-wise. You want to ask me if it's going to cause the bad to come out of you? Yes, it will, but is that the halacha? The Noda B'Yehuda says, be careful because you might get addicted to spilling blood. You're also wasting a tremendous amount of time. But if you have a way to do it, go ahead and do it. Look at the people in the Torah that were considered hunters. Esav, Nimrod, and then you had David HaMelech, who it says in the Gemara, in Mefarshim, page 107, Masechet Sanhedrin, that even though he was born from Ma'adim, instead of him becoming an Asap, he became a David HaMelech because he knew how to spill the blood that he wanted to spill properly. Nevertheless, he also killed tens of thousands of Palestinians, Plishtim. Okay, so he did spill blood of humans too. Okay, so the Beit HaMikdash, correct. So what's the synopsis of today? We learned a beautiful sugya. Look at this. We learned what makes an animal treif, anything that kills an animal within 12 months of your damage. We learned about how not to be cruel by shechting an animal in front of another animal. We learned Rav Sternbach. We learned Rav Moshe Feinstein. We learned Rav Yecheskel Landau. This is what Torah is all about. There's no thing that I could just do whatever I want. The Torah means Mora Derech. It tells you how to live your life. So now we understand the sugya of hunting. You have a mouse in your house. You could kill it. You want to trap it to satisfy Rav Moshe Feinstein's opinion. Tabo alecha beracha. And of course, in our day, it's not really necessary. Go to Bingo, go to Glatmart, buy yourself a nice steak, and call it a day. I will tell you this though. An immense amount of our Torah today is in laws of eating. Shchita, trefut, dam, melicha. You want to barbecue liver, right? Question, can I put other meats with the liver together when I barbecue it? Can I put fats in between the liver? Can I use the sticks again? Do I have to kasha the sticks again? All these halachot, you're a day. You have to learn these things in halacha. You can't just do whatever you want. So, Bezrat Hashem, this year, we're going to learn sugyas like this. And I want to tell you, in 2 weeks from now, like I said, the last Tuesday of every month, the week of Thanksgiving, we're going to have here a biography of a very, very powerful story that happened. And I'm going to let you guys choose today. Or we can have the biography of the Ya'avetz and Rabbi Yonatan Eibshitz, which will be 2 in 1. Or we can have the biography of the Baal Shem Tov. You can choose either one. Barbecue? Biography. Huh? Everybody Baal Shem Tov, raise your hands. Everybody, Rabbi Yaakov Enden and... Okay, I'm sorry, the Baal Shem Tov takes the vote. I will tell you this though, you will hear things about the Baal Shem Tov that you never heard before. We will learn excerpts from the Baal Shem Tov that people don't want to teach. We will learn it. And I'll bring Sfarim in here that tell us about some of the students of the Baal Shem Tov that you might have never heard before as well. Hazaku Baruch, everyone. And believe it or not, tonight we're going to see success with the elections like we want.